Last week, no, this week, I got the fastest internet that's supposedly out there. And I truly hope that today it goes well, guys. If you can hear me, everything is good. Please let me know. Hi, everyone. Hey, Savannah. So good to see. Hi, Willie. Thank you for joining. I see some of my Gunner too. I see a lot of my patrons here today. Thank you guys for joining in. I am really looking forward to having this discussion today. Is because, hi from Texas. Hey Ryan, thank you so much. Hello Yeonmi, do you have any plans to write another book? Stay tuned. Exciting news coming out. Yes, I am working on a second book, and I cannot wait to share that with you guys all. So thank you for that, Ryan. Today's topic is God and North Korea, and why North Korean Christians are facing the most harsh persecution. I just googled North Korean Christian persecution. It literally says religious persecution, purge, and genocide. And who is the perpetrator is a government of North Korea supported by China. I have personally rescued by Christians, and I don't know how many of you read my book. My interaction with them a bit was confusing in the beginning, and I had to come my terms with what interaction meant for me and how I want to move forward. But today I really want to dedicate this hour to highlighting this group of people that nobody really paying attention to. It breaks my heart even this time. Did you guys see that the Queen Elizabeth of England, she sent a congratulatory letter to Kim Jongun saying, how happy she is for North Korean regime to begin. On that day, it was a September 9th, was a founding North Korean Communist Party Day, and a lot of world leaders, democratic leaders, congratulated Kim Jong-un. I just cannot imagine the world that we are living in, like where we are condemning Hitler and the Holocaust. There are still bad, the evil dictators and murderers like Kim Jong-un, Mao, still being sometimes worshipped and adored and congratulated by the normal Western free leaders. So today in this video, in this discussion, I really want to tell you what's happening with Christianity and Christians who are facing genocide inside the country. Currently, there is estimated to be 50 to 70,000 North Korean Christians, guys, inside the concentration camp in North Korea. It's like 70,000 people. Their crime is believing in God. And I really want to tell you why North Korea going after God. So Julian, thank you for addressing this issue. God bless you too. Thank you very much. Even this time right now I'm being in America, I am really scared how the fact that people saying God is dead or God is not there, and it's everybody's choice to believe in God or not. But I know the society, what it looks like when there is no God. If there is no God, then what is it gonna? It's a vacuum for a human being to be replacing that spot. And that's why whenever the communist comes in, right, like in China, whenever they had the communism in Soviet Union, they went after religion. And North Korean regime especially cannot allow Christianity because they copy the Bible. North Korean regime, Kim Il-sung, his parents were actually sincere Christians. I don't think a lot of people know about this. So guys, before the Kim Il-sung came in the 50s, in the 1920s and 30s and 1910, when Korea was colonized by Japan, Pyongyang was what we call the Jerusalem of Asia. Pyongyang was the biggest booming town for Christians. Many believers were there in Asia. That was Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea. In this booming town, Kim Il-sung's parents who were in Pyongyang also were dedicated Christians, and his uncles and grandparents were also Christians. So Kim Il-sung was very familiar with the Bible and structure and scripture. So when he decided to create North Korea, the communist regime there, he knew how to become a god. That was copying Bible. And then getting rid of actual true believers. So he said, God loved us so much. That was Kim Il-sung. He even knows how much hair in my head. He knows my thoughts. He gave us his son, Kim Jongun. That much he loved us so much. He gave us his son to sacrifice for our well-being and defeating our enemies, that is American bastards. Exact same narrative. And that's why North Koreans that I was afraid to even think, right? People thought crime is a real thing in North Korea. So copying Bible and then making himself a god. And then now the North Koreans. And then what happened is that still those people who were believing God went into underground. And in North Korea, guys, you get executed right now if you read a Bible or if you have a Bible. And this is especially the harsh on the defectors. I just share the article. When North Koreans escape to China, most of them women, and most of them get raped and sold and human trafficked. And then a lot of them do get reached by Christians. And there's a group that I just learned about called Open Doors USA. And I was also rescued by South Korean Christians. They give a shelter to North Koreans and tell them about real God, that, God who is merciful, who forgives you, who loves you. And a lot of Koreans, North Koreans do become Christians. So when you send back to North Korea, the most vigorous interrogation is they are filtering out if you are a Christian or if you have ever been contacted by a Christian or been to church. And in a way, I think because Kim Jongun knows that as soon as North Korean people learn about real God, then people gonna demand the liberation and rise and fight for their freedom and their dignity and glory of God. And that's why Kim Jong-un cannot let the real Christian God to come to the country. And look at South Korea. Even they were the poorest country after this persecution. South Korea, the really Christian community is booming. We know that whenever there's a God, there is a morality, there is a distance, there's love, and there's prosperity goes with the Christianity. And look at the example of South Korea, that's why North Korea is determined to ban this religion to come into North Korea. And it's horrible that this regime is supported by China. And seeing the persecution of religious groups, especially Christians and women and human rights, the international media and the mainstream media do not talk about any of this. I mean, imagine right now, guys, 50 to 70,000 human beings, their crime is owning a Bible. Their crime is believing in God. And now, they are in a gas chambers, like the Holocaust, in that situation, and we do nothing about it. It's just shame on us and shame on humanity if we do not fight for these people. Thank you so much. So, 여보세요. Are there North Koreans trying to set up a free enterprise, like selling as a swap mean? I mean, North Korea is a socialist system. Trading is illegal. The worst word that you can use is using the word profit. And therefore, it's hard to set a free enterprise if it's not a socialist country, right? In the socialist, this is what really upsets me. People saying, oh, there's a difference between communist and socialist. And then I ask them, what is the difference? They give me all sorts of reasons. The reason why, even when people say in America, say, oh, I'm a democratic socialist, so I'm not a North Korean type of socialist. Even the democratic socialism means the government controls means of production, who gets what to produce, where, how much, right? And even in democratic socialism, the private property is banned. So yes, democratic socialism is evil, as evil as communism. Putting a word democratic there doesn't make anything. It does not hide the evilness of socialism, this ideology. And that's why North Korea is Democratic Republic Peoples of Korea, right? So whenever people are using this democratic freedom or whatever words, putting in justice, social justice, whatever this is all evil nonsense. And so guys, I hope that was the beginning. I don't know how many people were aware that North Korea is actually the worst place for the Christians to be in. I mean, any place to be in, there's no place like North Korea that are oppressed. But also people don't understand how vigorous, how evil they are persecuting Christians and having any faith. And why also Christians especially being targeted, because the North Korean regime disguised in the image of God and brainwashing North Korean people and controlling them. And I really thank you guys for coming here to educate yourself. Please keep sharing videos so the world really know about this Holocaust, this tragedy of our time. So now let me start answer some of your questions. So Ryan, if you are not a socialist at 20, you haven't got a heart. If you're not a capitalist at 30, you haven't got a brain, Winston Churchill. If you're not a socialist at 20, I mean, I love Winston Churchill, but the thing is, to me, is being a socialist means like heartless. I know that what socialist does, right? So what I hate about socialism is this division between people. They always divide people between the oppressors and oppressed. So there, you cannot really love each other when you are like thinking somebody's oppressing you. So I don't even know that in theory socialism doesn't sound good to me. So many people say, oh, socialism sounds nice, theoretically sounds amazing, and it's like the beauty of heart it shows. And and then they tell me, but it is not in human nature us to be equitable or being fair. As if human nature is dirty and greedy, therefore socialism is in theory a wonderful thing but doesn't work because human nature is evil. To me is, well, I'm like, let's talk about the human nature later, but socialism on theory is unbelievable. It does not respect the human dignity. It does not believe in individuality, right? So therefore, somehow there should be a power like a government needs to come in and decide what is good for me. How is that a good theory even on paper? That theory sounds the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I don't even know what is good for me. Like, how many people know like what they want for even dinner? Like, whenever I go to the restaurant with my girlfriends, do you know how long it takes for us to order a food? I mean, they go back and forth. This so when I was in New York and right now, I used to go to restaurants with my girls. We have girls' nights, and then they go like a website, Yelp, and like looking at the reviews, what dish is good, what is good. I mean, for them to deciding what they want for dinner takes at least 30 minutes without exaggeration. So how the heck as somebody who was elected in government, who never met me, who does not know my tendencies and history, cannot decide what is good for me? Like, how the heck do they know that? So this thing is like, it's not because your heart is good that you are socialist. To me, it's like because you are so dumb, or you're ignorant, or you're just pure evil. That's why you think it's good. I do know there are people really with good intentions, with a good heart, become socialists. I do not deny that. But I think to those people, you are misled. I'm not gonna like put up these nice words and try to make everybody feel good. No, there's only two types of people when they become socialist. One is really just naive and misled and misinformed and do not understand what this thing is. And they become a socialist with good intentions. And the other person is pure evil. They want control. They want to oppress others. That's why they become socialist. There's no middle ground. Because this ideology is not because human nature is greedy and bad, because this ideology itself is so flawed. It is so evil. It diminishes the human potential. So that's why it's just really sad, like whenever I meet people, oh, like because you're greedy that you are not a socialist, then like, no, that's not true. And that's why we need to tell people exactly what socialism is. We cannot just playing this card anymore, like, oh, it sounds nice. On theory, it's a nice thing. It's not nice. It's very pure evil. That is socialism. I know, guys, when it comes to socialism, like, I know how it looks like in real life. So I cannot even pretend at this point. Sunny, I never believed in socialism. That's amazing. Yeah, I see some Christians are joining here. So has anyone here heard of Orthodox Christianity? Why not convert to this faith? It's a way of life. I mean, guys, I'm not here to preaching people to believe in God, but I care for people who are oppressed. I mean, this is like why I'm fighting for human rights, right? Like, dogs cannot fight for human rights. Nobody here can fight for human rights other than us. And there are people cannot fighting for their rights. And that's why it's our job to do it. It's our responsibility to do that. So, thank you, Mina, right? Oh, thank you, Amy, for sharing my story. I know it's a bizarre. Given the gravity, given the seriousness of North Korean issue, of this 80 years of oppression that supported by the country that is China, some people think about a prestigious country that China sponsoring this Holocaust, and how literally it is covered by mainstream. It is quite a mystery to me. Imagine right now there is an island that oppresses 25 million little kitties and puppies. How much that thing gonna broke into news. Even this time during the Taliban, right, the rescue, there are a lot of people who are rescuing those dogs. I mean, that's great. But why are we seeing these parents are throwing their babies to the Americans to begging that please save my child? As a mom, what it takes for me to give my baby, I'm willing to not see my baby. Because what it takes is that desperation of suffering and oppression and death and poverty, right? And in that situation, I'm seeing these people pretending what a nice person I am. I'm rescuing these dogs from Afghanistan. And I mean, sometimes this humanity is there's so many good human beings, but so many things that we do is questionable. I love human beings, guys. It's not I don't like human beings. So Mohit, having strong person is blessing forward. Thank you so much for support me. It is a thing why are we not tough with the evil? Why are we not tough is the thing. People are just so soft. That's the thing. When I was talking to Joe Rogan, he said, the hard times create a strong man, and strong man creates prosperity, and prosperity creates a soft man, and soft man creates hard times, right? And we have been in a good prosperous time because of the founding fathers in this country. The people came before us, fought for liberty, individual freedom, and free market. So a lot of Americans that I met lived in a good times. And then I do see that they are creating this hard time for the next generation to come. It's inevitable. It is hard to it's sad to understand human nature, that what we do, and I guess we cannot defy our biology, but it is amazing how Americans cannot even take, when I was at Columbia, they cannot even read a book that talks about rape or some horrible thing that humans go through, even slavery. The professors tell you if it triggers you, don't come to class, don't even come to the reading, and don't even do your homework, and don't even need to tell me that what bothers you. So people who cannot even bother to hear such a thing, how they're gonna face reality, the real world. And that's why even internet right now, they are going crazy with the censorship. They are trying bubble wrapping everybody and shield us from the reality. And that is gonna create the disabled people who are not resilient, who do not know how to problem solve, and who don't know how to survive even toughness. Shooter Downer, the down under. So have you heard of non-profit organizations like Open Doors and Voice of the Martyrs that deal with the persecution of Christians? I do follow Open Doors USA, but I do not know Voice of Martyrs. So thank you for letting us know that. I think Open Doors USA does incredible work, especially their involvement with North Koreans. So thank you so much, Tony. I love that emoji. So Open Doors, I've been going on their website and really learning a lot about their work. What I read is that they do have shelters and they give us food to North Korean Christians when they go to China and help them to escape. So, there are many organizations, and most of the work is done when it comes to North Korea are done by Christians. And this is my story. Remember, guys, when I was in China, I met Christians and they told me that I was a sinner, and it was shocking to me too. But I think what the context that I didn't get was they were telling me, I guess, now I'm thinking about it, knowing more about Bible. They were saying I was sinner not because of things that I did to survive in China, but because we are sin. Somebody gotta explain this to me. At 15, going through of that 2 years of sex slavery and meeting somebody that I was guilty, that was my fault, that I was a dirty, that I could never be redeemed. It was really shocking, and that's why I initially, even when I went to South Korea, when I was speaking out in the beginning, I could not tell people that I was trafficked, because now that I knew, nobody would forgive me for that. But the thing is, whatever they said, they are the most brave people I've ever met. They are the most selfless people I've ever met. They literally risked their life to rescue my life, right? So I hope that you guys join the Open Doors USA and support them after this and get really more involved to help the people who are oppressed. Let's see, so oh, thank you, Elizabeth. So other than Christianity, do you Koreans know about any other religion? So we do know. I never learned about like Islam, like Taoism, or how many religions in the world, right? But I did hear about the Buddhism, because in North Korea has had a long history of Buddhism. So I did see a temple once, but it is really hilarious. The regime is like genius, it's in a horrible, scary way. So I went to this temple when I was in the middle of the country, and then there was like a Buddhist, supposedly. He had all full hair, he did not shave, and then he talks about telling us about a story, how much, that greatness of the Kim Jongun and Kim Jong-il, back then Kim Il-sung, how he was liberating people, and all the incredible things about Kim's. So this supposedly Buddhist was preaching and brainwashing all of us and connecting Buddhism to Kim Il-sung's history, right? Like every history in North Korea got twisted. They say that Kim Il-sung, not Americans, not the Soviets, they say Kim Il-sung liberated people from the World War II, and they are the liberation of the entire humanity. And that's the thing. So everything is twisted. So even though there is a Buddhism, but we really don't know who's a Siddhartha, what are the principles of Buddhism, none of that. We just know the word Buddhism, and then how, Kim Il-sung did an amazing thing with it. That's all we know. Let's see. I see so many foreign languages here today. Okay, so is God of your religion of Kim? Is that means like, I don't understand the question. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. Are Buddhists oppressed like Christians in North Korea? That's a good question. No, because there is really no Buddhist in North Korea. There are fake ones that regime says to put on. So when the foreign delegations go, there is a Buddhist temple, Catholic church, and then one more Christian church. and then they show the UN delegation to pretend like, look at us, we have actual Catholics, actual, Christians come. So here's an interesting story. So one day there's a foreign delegation who's trying to come to North Korea to investigate if they do respect the freedom of religion. So the regime says like, oh my God, what do? We have to find the Christians now. So now Kim Il-sung thought that was a good opportunity for him. So he would go let the officials know. Now if you are Christian, actual Christian, it's okay. We are gonna forgive you. It's okay. Now you can actually come and worship your God, and we are gonna give you that religion. So that was exact same tactic that Mao did. Like let those poisons, like the flowers bloom. When they bloom, they cut them all off, right? Like Mao said, okay, now we're gonna give you a period. Whoever had a opinions or disagreement with the party and my leadership, I am giving you the floor, and then let you speak up. And I'm gonna now give you that freedom to do, and then that's how tolerant I am. So when all those people did under the Mao, after that, everybody felt safe. They all speaking up, and then several months later, they all got purged. So that's exactly what North Korea did. They were like letting the Christians know that like, okay, now you can really believe in your God and come to the church. So they all went to church, and when the foreign delegation came and they saw and talked to these people, and they were like real Christians, knew the scripture, knew the Bible. They knew so much about Bible, so they were saying, okay, I guess they are real Christians in North Korea. After they left, they all got executed. So it is so full to Western delegations. I'm just sorry to say that. In North Korea, it's so easy to like lie to the world, right? So North Korean regime, they can do whatever thing they want. Like when you go to North Korea as a tourist, they set up entire circus for you, and everything that you see is not a real thing. And so even after that, no North Koreans would really come out and saying they are actual Christians. And what I actually met this boy in South Korea who was a Christian and came out and told me this story. Because they cannot hold the Bible, right? They cannot. So since their great grandmother would in their town secretly they go in the cave and then really pray at night. There's making a little cross with like rocks or something, right? They make a church, and then they cannot the entire scripture. So somebody designated to know the John, somebody dedicated to know Psalm, like Corinthian, like different parts of the Bible. And then their job is making sure their children and grandchildren memorize it. So that knowledge of Bible being alive in North Korea. So these people constantly memorizing. So he learned from his grandma, knew the entire chapter of his Bible, word by word. And that's how they are keeping the faith in North Korea. That's what they go through to be a Christian. So King Trump, why doesn't Kim Jongun create farms and feed his people so people can worship him more? Is he that afraid of an uprising? So that's a question, right? Like, as much as I love freedom, when I was in North Korea, I didn't even know what freedom was. And if there was a frozen potato, not even rice, not even meat, not even my protein, just frozen potato, that would keep me alive, not from dying from starvation, I would never escape North Korea and go to China and be a sex slave. Nobody would choose that, right? I love my motherland. I love my people. And I love that. That's my home. My dream is still going home someday. Like my father who passed away in China, he still wanted to be buried and when he died. And that's why I'm keeping him in South Korea. When Korea unifies, I won't take him back because that was his last wish. So this is the thing, like if Kim Jong-un thought about one more thing, which is making sure that nobody was dying from starvation, nobody would escape from North Korea. But the problem is, first of all, he doesn't care. And the second of all is, his real worrying is if people are full and not starving, right? They are really gonna think about how do I make my life better, right? In America right now, I always say that not having a problem is an actual problem. people keep creating their oppression. Like at Columbia, they say you gotta look for hidden, oppression. You gotta be sensitive to find the bigotry and racism in this country, because you cannot just see the racism bare eyes. Now you have to look for hidden oppression in America. So I think, it going back to another human psychology, that when you are prosperous, I think humans have a tendency to think of philosophy, the meaning of life, become more intellectual, become more communist, and become more any kind of thing, right? So, and you're gonna thinking about meaning of life. So I think it's so easier for a dictator to control the population. And like if you read the Hunger Games, exactly, right? When population, all they're thinking is finding next meal, right? In North Korea, if I'm there, now I'm gonna thinking about how I'm gonna find dinner. If I make a dinner, I'm gonna worry about how I'm gonna survive tomorrow. So because of that convenience, he's using this most evil tactic to control the people and staying in power. And that's why we need to be so careful with giving up power to this kind of authority, because once they get power, they're never gonna let it go. They're gonna do whatever it takes to keep that power. So thank you, King and Shooter, right down under. Thank you. A little funny story I found out recently. Did you know that the North Korean regime translated the Bible that the Christians copied and have been smuggling into North Korea? So did you know that the North Korean regime translated the Bible that the Christians copied and have been smuggling into North Korea? I did not know that. That's interesting. Thank you for letting me know. So thank you so much, President-elect Pressure 609. So I wanted to tell you something spicy, but you are saying godly things and it feels wrong. As long as your witty humor and supreme logic keeps liberals crying, I will be your faithful king. Thank you. You're so funny. Thank you so much. Hey Gabrielle, have you heard of a woman called Nam Suk Hong? She was taken to U.S. as a 15-year-old by the Unification Church to be the wife of Sun Myung-un's son, a violent drug addict. Wasn't the same what... I don't know, was she a North Korean? I'm not sure. I do hear like this Unification Church thing a lot, but I don't think that's a Christians, guys. Anyway, it is in a time. I am also constantly worried about losing my freedom in America, and it's so good to have you. It is not a good feeling to see so many parallels and similarities seen in America right now and the things that I saw in North Korea. That there is this huge thing that among Americans now try to get rid of God, right? And try to make their sexual preference as a kind of the main thing. It just shocks me still till these days that when people say my identity is being a gender fluid, and I'm like, that's not your identity. Maybe it's part of being who you are. Like identity is way more than something deeper than that. It's not just mere factual your state that you are in. And I think when I was an atheist a while, I was listening to Sam Harris. I was being atheist, and then I did have this time of voidness, right? Like, what is the meaning of my life? And then I keep going back to helping North Korean people and being the voice for them. And this makes me to deal with insanity of life, right? Life is tough. There are so many, life even in freedom is not easy. And that's why you need meaning even in freedom. And when I was reading Jordan Peterson, he brought me back to God. So it's not like everybody can find meaning through God. I think whatever it is, I think that's the thing. Like when you feel like freedom is hard, when you feel like life is hard, I really recommend everybody search for their meaning. And I think that's a thing. Like wherever we can get that meaning, that's a beautiful thing. And in the past, we had a community, we had a God, at least in the West, and He provide a lot of shelter and helped us to go through this life with some kind of guidance that was clear. Now there's zero guidance, right? You can be whatever thing you want. You can smoke pot, you can do drugs, you can be homeless, you can literally do anything you want. And now we are having this anarchy, not real freedom, because freedom comes with responsibility. So whenever people tell me, oh, I'm free, so don't tell me what to do, I'm like, I'm not telling you what to do. But it is so important for us to reviving that spirit of morality, of guidance, and living a life with meaning, not just lust and instant pleasure that so many people are pursuing right now. And I was a victim of it too. I was, it's so I'm gonna tell you a story after answering some questions. So here, Sherry, thank you, God bless you, and keep seeking truth. Justice is real. When you seek me with all your heart, you shall find me. Jeremiah, thank you very much. So Tao Lear said, don't worry, the Second Amendment and Tuckers will now allow you to fall into North Korea. That's funny. So Platinum, Lucaria, hi, I'm Devin O'Kirby. I'm actually curious if you've received my note with the PayPal payment, because I certainly asked quite a lot of questions. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go back to that. Thank you very much. I will get back to the, I get so many emails every day, and so a lot of things are being lost, but I will make a note on that. So here's my interesting culture shock when I came to America. So I know this, I'm talking about my personal story. So I was dating somebody in America, and then there were a lot of my friends who are liberal women in New York, right? And then I only date exclusively. And then they were so confused. They were like, you are prime time of your life. You have to test the water. Test the water. I learned that phrase. And, just date around. They date a lot of people and get experience and just have fun. So it's okay, what do you mean having fun? And they're like, yeah, just go on dates, get drunk, go to clubs, and test the water, and just enjoy your liberation. So it was shocking to me, because when I was risking my life in the Gobi Desert, right, I didn't freedom wasn't meaning I'm gonna get drunk and go to nightclubs and dating around and testing the water. And how American culture associated the freedom to that was pretty shocking to me. And then for the many years, I thought something is wrong with me, that I don't want to do that. So it is a thing. There's no judgment in it. But I don't think any of my friends who does that in New York, testing the water every night, they go on dates every single day, meeting with the people, get a hookup, and getting up in the morning, and it's men and women both, right? That is not a meaningful relationship. And living in America is hilarious. They are forcing a North Korean to embrace that kind of a culture that is so low and so shallow and so destructive. And then that's how America perceives freedom. That's quite worrisome. That's just not I thought of freedom was. I thought of freedom was something that comes with responsibility. You are holding yourself accountable. You work hard. You keep yourself developed. You help others. You keep looking out and what the world is big place, what kind of impact that you can make. And that's what freedom gives, is allow you to be, right? Fulfilling your potential. And not some kind of lost feelings. And yeah, it is I know I'm gonna write a second book, but not that it's gonna be interesting to write that, or my experience being in America. So Christopher, we are all inherited a sinful nature through sinful parents, but we also sin by choice. We must be born again. We need the Holy Spirit to bring us to life. That is one way to do it. And as I'm a very open-minded person, and I think people can pursue meaningful life through God. It's one easy way is because there's a lot of steps you can follow. There's community, but also I do think a lot of people are perfectly fine being moral human being, being working hard and being decent, being honest person, being kind person, without also scripture, right? I wouldn't deny that. I would not discriminate that. And that's why I think that's the thing, like, but we all know that at this point we do need to talk about the importance of meaning in life. And that's maybe if we have more meaning in life, we are gonna seek less therapy, right? We are gonna have less of time complaining and have more life of be grateful. So thank you guys for, I hope that was a helpful time for you and learning about North Korea, and also how thankful that we are. And I decided to do this live because this morning I was reading this article by the Open Doors, and she was in China and captured and sent back to North Korea, and they were putting in her this like solidarity confinement, you know, entire year. And then she was she was saying, she was tortured, be raped and beaten, all those things. But she was saying when she felt that one ray of like sunlight, that was why she appreciated so much. And I was thinking, I could have been her, right? I met Christians in China. I could have been got caught and sent to that prison camp, and never even seen the light of this world. And I could be in that cage and died, because I was so lucky. By a miracle, I've been rescued by Christians, and I'm here, and I'm having this voice. So that's why I wanted to do this video. So thank you, Rick P. So everyone is a slave to something, either to something bad or something good. So some to North Korea, some to their own sins, others to God's love. Only the latter results in the freedom that Jesus offers. Thank you so much for that. Yes, I do think knowing that, you know, what we are enslaved to, right? Is this either you know, material things, either ideology. There are so many forces in the world trying to control us, right? Even in social media, like everything is all about controlling. And it's not like becoming like I'm Marxist and like look at the oppression, world is a horrible place, we have to liberate ourselves from the oppressors. It's not that kind of thing. But knowing, even being conscious, is like I'm like reading this like again, like, you know, the Tyranny of Tech, Big Tech Companies by George Hawley. Is like, right, these tech executives who create these algorithms are so addictive with this Instagram, Facebook, but they don't let their children to use it. And they do not even have any that kind of decency to tell people what it is. And most of people get addicted to something so fake, not real, and wasting their time on looking at Instagram feed. And while there are people like North Koreans and girls in China, in Afghanistan, in Africa, oppressed and being beaten and facing injustice, we are dedicating our life looking as shallow as TikTok videos. It's, you know, we could have done so much more as a humanity. The potential that humanity has is unbelievable, guys. Like, coming from where we are like, whenever I see like skyscrapers, whenever I see an airplane flying by, I mean, all of like human resilience and human ingenuity. Like, the humanity is such a wonderful creatures that God, or however you want to do, nature, gave us this is such a gift that we can move the mountains. We can do so much if we determine to do so. But now we are in a generation of looking at social media as shallow as that, and that's what scares me. Like, you know, we could have been so much better, but because people are so distracted and being so misled by everything, and here we are, like, we still have billions of people enslaved, and still millions of are like starving and dying from hunger. And the other people in America, their problem is having too much food and having too many resources. Let's see. Sorry guys, I'm not answering quick enough. So Mohit again, I wanted to know how the regime treats women in family, almost sure their life is hell, but why Kim's sister is becoming the face. Thank you for your question. I actually just made a video about that, so I cannot wait to share that. But about why the Kim Jongun sisters becoming the face of the party is because it's a kingdom, right? It's a family ruling country. The same Kim family has been ruling almost 80 years. So Kim Jong-un, if he uses another brother, is a direct competition. But in North Korea, system designed for women not to get ever powerful enough. So, there's no gender equality. Therefore, even Kim Yo-jong is on the face and supporting Kim Jong-un, it does not look like there is a power rivalry or any threatening to Kim's legitimacy. That's why it's very convenient for him to just promote Kim Yo-jong and without worrying about she's ever gonna take over, because North Korean elites and system is never gonna accept a woman as a leader. Anyway, so I'm gonna answer, guys, 2 more questions. I know this is a Friday, it's a very heavy topic, but I just wanted us to using this time to really thinking about these people, 70,000 people right now in the North Korean concentration camp. That's the thing, when I was in desert, right? I wasn't even afraid of death. That's not what I concerned. It's nobody in this world cared about my life. That was sad. I was literally abandoned by entire humanity. Nobody cared that if I died in the desert or lived. Sometimes just caring about somebody, as little as that, is enough for them to have hope and fighting for their life. And I know all we can do right now is talking about their suffering, let the world know, so the leaders in this world can fight for these Christians, can fight for North Koreans who cannot have a voice for themselves. So so what happens in North Korea if an unmarried woman is pregnant? They go through illegal abortion, and because also if you are unmarried and get pregnant, you are not gonna able to support the baby, so baby is gonna die from starvation most likely. And women is not gonna even make the breast milk because women are so malnourished, and we don't have a formula in North Korea. Commoners, we don't. I have seen so many cases women die from the childbirth, and then fathers knock on doors, right? Can you feed my baby a breast milk, because we don't have formula. And then these mothers, this biggest tragedy is that mothers who have their baby, right? My mom still regrets. So when I was born, I was less than 3 pounds. I was a tiny little preemie. There's no the incubator where it helped me to breathe or keep my body temperature up. There's nothing like that. So when I was born, somebody else gave birth quickly, but her mom was so malnourished, she could not make the breast milk. So they were begging my mom to give some her milk. So she did. But when I was hungry, my mom really didn't have much milk left. And she still regrets, I should not have given that milk to her, then you would be a lot healthier than now, because I'm still I'm 80 pounds or 78 pounds. I'm still very underweight. I cannot keep the heat very well in my body. So she thinks that's what it is. But this is the thing, so when this fathers go knock the door, can you give my child some breast milk? Mothers think, if I give you my milk to your child, my child is gonna die from starvation. So a lot of mothers cannot give that milk, even though they wanna help. And this is the thing, so unnecessary suffering, just created by this evil man's greedy and ego to maintain that power, to be a god in this 21st century. This is how innocent 25 millions are suffering right now. And when women cannot make breast milk, they try to make cook the rice and really smoothie and give it to the baby. But until 6 months, babies doesn't have a system to process those normal food, right? So that's what happens. It's so painful for me to tell these stories, but I know that if I don't tell this, who will know what's happening to North Korean people? And you guys are the witnesses. Even if I die, even if I get assassinated and gone tomorrow, I know that I have done my job and you have heard my story. So I know that you will help me to keep speaking and let the world know that North Korean people exist. Tali, future congresswoman, how long before you're a citizen so we can put you in Congress? You're so sweet. I am still waiting. I hope that I will become American. That would be the greatest honor of my life. I would love to do everything I could do for this country. I know this is a thing, like, I don't get it. Like, being an American is a lifetime honor. And I always see these people like asking, what can you do for me as a country, right? I mean, this is like not American spirit. Like, when you come to America, this country is a land of opportunity. You can start business, you can work hard, you can help others. This gives you a home to fulfill your dreams. And then seeing this country now, like, just asking for handouts. I mean, that's the thing, like, America now with this pandemic becoming like North Korea, almost like the public ration from the regime, right? They're like, okay, give me another handout, next paycheck, because the pandemic. And that's how North Korea began. Like, they said, okay, we're gonna give free food, free uniforms, we're gonna give you public ration, free things. Nothing is free, but they said we're gonna give free things. When they started giving us free things, and then people got used to receiving free things, and they do not understand nothing is free. By the time when we got used to free things, then we need a regime to survive. And then we supported them, and then what they did, they took all the power and then stopped feeding us, not giving us anything. And then now they are having their pleasure squad and having party while we are starving to death without zero dignity, zero rights. So do not get in this trap that we are seeing in America. It's unbelievable. Every time I get up in the morning, I check the news. Trillions of dollars are being printed and giving out this bill and this bill, this much spending. And I'm like, I mean, I know where this path leading to, and it is so frustrating and it's so heartbreaking that I cannot talk to these people individually, sit them, like, tell them, like, you don't get that free thing from government. It's the evil poison they are giving it to you. It looks nice right now, but it's never good for you, your future, your children's future. You are all doomed once we start receiving those free things from the government, because they are not helping us. That is not helping us. Then we are switching with our future. So thank you, Savannah, again. I know, guys, thank you for, I'm sure, even though there are many things that you disagree with me, staying here with me and listening to me and giving me this platform to speak up. The beauty of that is we don't need to agree with anything. At least that was my experience in North Korea. And I do get reminded of North Korea every day now, being in America, seeing how much government gaining a control and how much they are promising people that I'm gonna make the tuition free, healthcare free, everything gonna be free, everything gonna be all good if I take care of you. And I know that where that path leads to, so please fight with me, please join in this fight. And your support really means everything to me. Thank you, my Patreons. Please, guys, join my Patreon and the locals. And especially I'm gonna mention about why I support the platforms that, support the First Amendment, because as you know, Chris, the China Uncensored, Matt Lowy, all of us facing demonetization and censorship on YouTube and other platforms. And there are platforms like the Locals and Rumble, I've heard, giving that people that freedom, our rights to speak our minds without being censored. So that's why please join, help those people. And then I'm gonna answer all these questions. So SJSER, thoughts on the Five Eyes can a spy alliance ruin a brutal regime through spreading information to the opposition? I am going to look that up. Thank you so much. I'm gonna take the picture of that. If you guys have any book recommendations, please let me know. I'd always love that. So Main, again, thank you. How much do you know about history of Korea and previous states in Korea. For example, about unified Shilla, Kingdom of Goryeo, and Kingdom of Joseon. And I'm not a historian, but I read a lot about those three kingdom time and how they got reunified and divided. But of course, I mean, I'm not a historian, but sounds like you know so much about Korea. So lower PM, right? And Via, thank you so much. So guys, that was amazing. Thank you for bearing with me and taking this time to know about Christians in North Korea. And even if you're not a believer, I hope that we can pray for them together. And even in silence, you can think about them and what they're going through in that dark room, in that cold, in that hunger. It's not because anything that I did better than them that I'm free today. And also, I'm gonna tell you, it's not because you're great that you are free. We just by chance, we got lucky and we are born in freedom. So I know that you do not take freedom for granted. You are very special people who knows that. So thank you for not taking freedom granted. Thank you for not taking life for granted. And I look forward to keep fighting with you and keep letting the world know. I actually just did a collaboration with Drew Binsky, and he has a huge YouTube channel. It's really amazing to see how many not even mainstream YouTubers wants to give me a platform to hear about the horrors that China is causing to entire humanity, and North Korean regime and the oppression and freedom of speech. All these things are now spreading into mainstream. So your support really goes far right now. I am excited to achieving more things and getting the words out. And I cannot wait to see you soon, guys. Have a beautiful weekend and God bless you. Love you, everybody. See you soon. Bye. 사랑해요. 사랑해요. I see some Korean words. That means I love you. So 사랑해요 means I love you. Love you guys. Maybe at the end of the video I should teach you some Korean. Love you guys. Bye.